was
Alright guys, down here, back with more NieR Replicant. We're at the end of the game for ending B, but I do want to do the 15 nightmares thing, so we're gonna do that real quick.
Alright, well if there is one,
might as well pick these things up while we're here.
Yeah, please Twitter, let me know. I've got
I don't think I've used, I haven't used the herb or anything.
On Twitter,
that's pretty
shout
good.
out to Survivor, Twin Peaks, and Three's Company.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, if I could just watch 3 shows for the rest of my life, that would be it.
Alright, is there a Twin Peaks game?
Yeah, let's wrap this up and then we will head towards the end of the game. It's already 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but I might actually go through trying to finish this just because I do want to finish this tonight,
That's literally the one
ideally.
thing that I know is damn fine cup of coffee, which is now applicable. That's my own existential parental.
It's time for you to watch it and podcast about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
listen,
goes.
might be in the works. I mean, let's talk Survivor catchphrases here, because I'm sure people are looking at this. This is the reason why I think I initially claimed it was out of the box, is because I think, to the point that was just made, Survivor is an unscripted show, but I don't think many people think, oh yeah, there are catchphrases for Survivor characters, like there are, like there's no how you doing on Survivor, right? There's no yada 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 on Survivor. So I think
But it is
that's the question we're here to answer. So Scott and I talked. This list is sort of a corroboration of Scott's submissions and submissions from the RHAP patrons. And I think we sort of are defining catchphrases by 2 different terms under one umbrella term. There is, much like in a scripted sense, there's one that a player repeats often over the course of Survivor. Again, much like a catchphrase on a scripted show where they would say it again and again and again to rapturous studio audience applause. But I think there are those where someone says it on screen, they don't say it again, but it has become repeated within the Survivor community.
Sure.
It's almost like a catchphrase from the fandom, more so than a catchphrase.
Iconic line. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
It became instantly iconic.
So a catchphrase can kind of catch on, so to speak, with the viewers, with the public.
I like that.
Or it could catch on within the show.
Yeah. And we haven't had any new ideas for merch in a while, so maybe we have like a shirt with all of the catchphrases.
So one of my ways to define a catchphrase is beyond what, whether or not it caught on, that's huge. But also, can I see it on a t-shirt?
Or a lunchbox.
It's funny you mentioned, or a lunchbox, or just like that person's face.
I don't even know what would be on this list. Like, the first one comes to mind is that, Natalie, can I have your jacket?
And go, oh yeah.
Like, I actually don't know what would even be on this
and all
list.
faces.
Maybe.
Now,
And they should be on a lunchbox on the shirt.
Oh shit.
There you
What?
go.
Yeah, it works on levels. Though maybe
It's
we
just
could
a
do
tubby lunchbox.
No. We can pull a Heroes vs. Villains reunion. Let's do a composite of all the faces that are included from the players.
Maybe we could combine all of the catchphrases into one simple catchphrase.
Oh, you know what? You know what we need?
Every word ever spoken on Survivor.
Yeah.
Just come on to
I think we need. Let's make a word cloud of the catchphrases. Maybe that's the happy medium here, the neutral box.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Get it all on one
A word
microchip.
cloud lead. Yeah. Okay.
That was actually not super easy.
All right.
You are so steeped in Survivor. The word cloud
I
just
watched
came right out of you.
what 23 seasons. I don't even know how many seasons I've watched. And that's all I do now. And we're
You skipped one. I mean, you got lazy and took a week off.
Yeah, I skipped one, but I'm making up for it. We're going to be going into double time here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
We watched 3 seasons in 2 weeks.
Now I'm excited.
Okay. All right.
Giving me more content. Thank you.
But more to do. All right. So, Mike, how did we want to approach the list?
So I just randomized it, but we're gonna go through about 25 or so catchphrases here. Now they run the gamut from players to maybe people who have been part of the show from the beginning, might be in every episode, and might say some things as well. I did not do my hard and fast rule that I usually do with one catchphrase per player. I decided to open the field.
Open it up.
Because there are, I think, some quote machines in many regards. So, yeah, it's in a random order. It's in no particular order. But we're just going to go through them. I have the clips so we can play them if people need a reminder of the catchphrase sound. But these are like 3, 4. These are less than a vine's worth of catchphrases. That's the point of it as well, too, is right? It's got to be like clippy. It's got a hook.
Clippy. Yeah.
Gotta be short.
Love that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What's Clippy's catchphrase? Can I help you?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was
Even
so zippy.
There's
Like,
catchphrases
hey,
all
can
around us.
I help you?
What's your half catchphrase?
It looks like you're working on a form letter.
It looks like you're trying to come up with a catchphrase, and it's looking a little forced.
I do like that Rob's Clippy does sound like Adam Klein. I will admit to that.
Are you working on a marriage license?
It sounds like you found an idol in a podium. Can I help you with that?
That's a terrible idea.
Let's start here. I know that I wanted to put it in a random order, but I had to start with a bigot. And I might start with the one that might be the consensus #1 pick here. It's the only one that has been part of basically every Survivor episode since Jump. I'm of course talking about the inimitable catchphrase from What Jeff Probst.
Tribe has spoken.
Wow. Tribe has spoken.
Who was that?
We're starting off with a big one.
Yeah.
So, alright, so I have...
That was that.
Okay, so I have 2 clips here, thanks to, of course, the great Derek behind the scenes. That first one was the very first person voted out, Sonia Christopher.
Yeah.
This is Jeff Probst doing the very last vote out that we have seen thus far, which is Sarah Lucina getting voted out of Survivor Winners at War.
Travis spoke.
From Sarah to Sonia, or Sonia to Sarah.
There's a little bit of a change of tone, in my opinion. Like, Jeff seems much more solemn with Sonia. Maybe it's just like 20 years of on the job has gotten to him at this point.
Now, you think he's more casual with it?
I think it's more so like a just part of the job type
Oh
of
shit,
thing,
I
right?
died.
Like, whereas Sonia, this was very much a boots on the ground, we're all making this moment together, I feel bad. This is more so like, alright, I know what I gotta do at this point.
Well,
also,
shit.
Sarah wasn't even technically voted out, so maybe there's a little hesitation in his mind. Like, did the tribe speak on this one?
Well, they did force her to a tie, so I guess the tribe did technically speak. I mean, that was an emotional vote out, the Sarah one, and I have not gone back and rewatched that since the finale of Winners at War. So
you will.
You know what? I don't care enough. Like, I really
Tribe
don't. I'm not
spoken.
gonna bother.
Scott, are people still
Not
saying that
redo
outside
all
of
that.
Survivor?
Let's just finish it.
I think I hear it on the news, in politics.
So I still have to
This is
rebuy it.
one that
That's some
has
bullshit.
really transcended the media. I mean, it's gone beyond Survivor. It's gone beyond reality television. It's just
Wrong one.
come into the American cultural lexicon. And I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with.
Yeah.
Can I read? I have a little bit on the origin story of the catchphrase, if you'll permit me here, because there's a bit of an oral history that was done on TV Insider from Jeff Probst and Mark Burnett, specifically about this catchphrase. So Jeff said that, you know, obviously the biggest thing going on at the time, the thing that Survivor ends up sort of, you know, overshadowing is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And of course, again, if we're talking catchphrases, it had, is that your final answer?
Is that your final answer?
Right.
Oh, maybe Clippy should sound like Regis instead.
Did I help you with that?
Regis could have a future, you know, joining Casey Kasem on the Wanda. Maybe as a guest.
Yeah, he's on a similar island as Casey Kasem.
Leave me be.
But essentially, they wanted to come up with that version of that. This is a quote from Jeff Probst. I had this big whiteboard, and anyone that walked by, I'd go, hey, imagine that you just got kicked out of this game. What would you want to hear? But none of the lines were working. And Mark Burnett said, I don't think it's that big of a deal. The torch is enough. But my gut was really strong. I had to say something. And Mark said, well, Jeff, just say, well, obviously your tribe don't want you around no more. That was his exact quote. I said, yeah, that's the idea, but it just doesn't really roll off the tongue. And Mark was kind of frustrated and went, well, I don't know what to tell you, Jeff. The tribe has spoken, and that's the way it goes. There it was. Mark inadvertently said the greatest line ever.
From the mouths of babes. I kind of wish he had gone with the first draft. Your tribe don't want you around no more.
That's it.
But like, I guess
Hit the streets.
Yeah, you have to say that in like a Cockney accent, like Sonia, come here. Looks like your tribe don't want you around no more, puppet.
Looks like you're going to be having a spot of tea over at the island adjacent.
Yeah, see, man, that's the thing.
Rolls
Listen,
right
20
off
years
the
later,
tongue.
Jeff Probst did try a British accent in the Winners of War premiere, right? This could have been brought in decades before the fact.
Would have been so great. Would have been so iconic. How come they never say TTHS?
I don't know if anyone.
Next.
Yeah, I guess that's next. I think if it moves into a series where people are like, "What's Survivor doing? They're cutting all these things." Jeff doesn't even say the full phrase anymore. He just acronyms.
If they go all even more remote than they did at the Winners at War reunion, and he's just texting.
Yeah.
You can just text that in.
Shouldn't we do? I mean, we're going to 26 days. I mean, can't we shorten the acronym?
Yeah, we don't have time to say the tribe has spoken anymore.
I think what you can do is
get the TikTok generation in.
Yeah, if they bring back the advent of hashtags, like that would have been a perfect thing to put on the lower third every time there's a tribal council. TTHS.
Yeah.
Those hashtags hold up really well on the rewatch, I bet.
If I go back and play, I'm going to vote for somebody. I'm going to say TTHS.
And they're going to say, what?
Mm-hmm. I'll write it on the parchment also, like in the lower third. I'm going to put my own hashtag on.
I love the TTHS block of comedies on Friday night.
That's what they're going to say. They'll be like, Rob coming up with this new cable network of his, so he's trying to shill out to people on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know that this one is great on a t-shirt, but it's still, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, pretty sure it is available on a t-shirt from CBS.com, Mike.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember if this was part of our bidding war, or whatever the game was that we did with the Amazing Race back in the day. Maybe if you put Matthew Great Goobler on it saying TTHS, it's going to sell like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I guess that, what do you think? This is going right to the top?
I mean, I gotta think so. I know it's tough to set the bar high, but I think to Scott's point, this is one of those reality TV exit lines that I think has transcended the medium, right? Like, I can count the number of times that in pop culture people have made reference to the tribe has spoken specifically when referencing Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta think, I also think, no offense to that's tribe don't want you round no more, but I do think the tribe has spoken has like a really nice solemnity and officiality to it, right? Like it really sanctifies what tribal council is supposed to be and how important it has become in the game. It's maybe lost a little bit of its value in its words down the line, in that like now we have people playing idols and doing fire making challenges that most of the time the tribe hasn't actually spoken. It's just a couple of people. But I think it has such a lasting power, and it's one of the things that people still remember about the show to this day, no matter how much you've watched it.
Yeah. Should they say that when you play an idol, that you just silenced the tribe?
Well,
you did not let the tribe speak tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, though, like in instances where someone had one vote, like when Lauren Rimmer gets voted out of Survivor HHH, I forgot if Jeff said the tribe has spoken or if he said, like, Ben has spoken,
Mm-hmm. Probably said that at some point.
Twist on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it works. I'd like to think that maybe there's something that's going to come in ahead of it. I'm open to that possibility, but it probably belongs in that top tier.
Okay. All right. Tribe has spoken. Worth playing for sure. We'll see exactly if anything can top it.
Exactly. If anything can snuff it out for the top spot.
Mm-hmm. If anything,
the tribe will speak. We are the tribe, and we
still
will
want you here no more.
Governor.
Here's the thing. I think
Gotta add a governor.
If you run into any sort of like IP issues with this future T-shirt scheme, I think you could do like slight variations on the catchphrases, right? So instead of Jeff Probst, it would be like generic white man wearing an orange hat saying, "The tribe don't want you round here no more." That sort of is like the Palport version of it.
I was also gonna throw out there, what about the tribe has Spokane, and then we have like a little outline of Washington State.
That's gonna sell really huge in Washington.
The lawyers come for us, like, hey, that's our kind of like, nope. We're talking about Spokane, Washington. The tribe
and we're talking about one of the local, indigenous tribes.
Oh, I like that. Or you could do we're really big bikers, so we're doing the tribe has spoke, N. Referring to our good friend N.
That's why about TTHS works so great, Mike. We could be running with that.
I think honestly we might be able to make this a legitimate thing. Hashtag TTHS every time someone gets voted out of Survivor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's going to catch on, especially with the youngest kids.
Oh, you know what? All right, kids out there, if you are listening, I think it's still yearbook season. Instead of putting hashtag hags in there, have a great summer, put hashtag TTHS and see if you get it.
Okay.
TTHS.
If you're in the know, then you're,
Yes.
It's a good way to know. It's a good way to identify fellow Survivor fans. I think
also,
as well.
could stand for Tata High School.
Oh, I love that.
It's a double meaning.
I think next year's graduation caps are going to be full of these things. We don't want you around this head no more.
Go on, get out of our school.
Yeah. I mean, graduation ceremony is a little bit like tribal council. Like, you walk up there, like they get the thing, and then you walk off and go have your tea.
Yeah, walk of shame.
Yeah.
There's a lot of whispering going on.
And then you get to a set of little jars and urns, and you have to bequeath
your fire tokens, like tuition to go to college.
Yeah, tuition, and then you have to make a decision. Do you go on to college or raise the mass?
Exactly the same.
Hey, stand there, you just go, come on, God. Come on, where do I go?
Come on. Oh, man, that should have been on the list. Come on, God, put it down for the sequel.
Okay. All right, Mike, what else do we have?
All right, well, let's move on here. Let's move on from Jeff Probst, so he will pop up a few more times over the course of this countdown. Let's move into one often quoted, I think, on this podcast. We're talking about the enigmatic Drew Christie from Survivor San Juan del Sur. As soon as I said his name, you know there's only one thing I can play.
Basically a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely, obviously, I think the first one was more of an indicator of something that became a catchphrase on the show. This is something that became a catchphrase off the show. Drew Christie never again said, basically, I'm a badass, but I know it's something that a lot of Survivor fans like to say.
Hey, this isn't even if you can.
Scott, how often do you use this quote in your daily life?
Constantly. With my kids, especially, as I try to impress them with all my moves. Oh, my badass
2 minutes.
I really just want to watch this.
I don't use this one, and I'm wondering how much, is it used a lot? You've heard it a lot. To me, this is one this is a classic, and it's a classic scene.
We were hoping
it's a
to
classic
put it off
quote,
for 100 years or so.
but I feel like
until the next generation
it's
came
even
along.
better when you hear the whole thing.
Talking about?
He goes on when he says again, I'm a manipulator game, and he has this really awkward laugh.
I don't believe it.
It's like, and that to me is sort of like the icing on the cake. So, this is good to me, but I don't know how much it stands on its own as a catchphrase. What do you guys
think? To be this powerful.
Mike, is Drew Christie truly a badass?
You have no cause
I mean,
to
is it
speak
one of those
so
things
that's
where, like,
more
if you
advice.
have to say that you are, you probably aren't, right? Like, show, don't tell.
I think he's probably, though, kind of a badass. Like, this isn't like if Skinny Ryan told us, like, basically I'm a badass.
But, like, how do we define badass, Like, I would say, to be honest, dumbass.
Tell us.
I would say dumbass before badass when I'm thinking about it, to be completely
in the
honest.
first place.
Yeah, basically I'm a dumbass, but I think that would be, like, self-observant.
Yeah, it's maybe not Drew Christie's style.
Basically, my tribe don't want me here no more.
Yeah.
I could see Drew Christie attempt a British accent as well.
So a badass is defined as something or someone cool or something or someone tough, rebellious, or aggressive. The definition of a badass is someone who is tough, mean, violent, or a bit aggressive. I mean, basically, I think he is.
Do you think our CBS series Badass is Ball Bearings is gonna take win, Rob, after this with the definition?
I don't see why not.
This one is great because it's we're laughing at him.
Yeah.
We don't really think he's a badass, do we?
He's like not a badass in terms of being good at Survivor,
which is what he's talking about.
Yeah. So I think to Scott's point, I think where the usage of this lies is almost sarcastically, right? It's like got away with getting double meat at Chipotle, but didn't get charged for it. Basically, I'm a badass.
Yeah.
Like replying almost tongue-in-cheek
Please,
about it.
enter the Shadowlord's castle.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does define Drew Christie. If Drew Christie wrote a book, Scott, I do think basically I'm a badass would be the work. If you were his publisher,
That's the only title I give him a publishing deal for. Otherwise, we're not selling this book. I want a picture of him on the cover. Basically, I'm a badass. The Drew Christie story.
Forward by Alec Christie.
Yeah, saying my brother is actually really cool. He's really great with the ladies.
No, it's just gonna be a list of meat that he's gonna go buy later on.
That's Alec Christie's forward.
That is.
Chorizo, fat bacon.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's look at this on the board and see where it does. All right. So Drew Christie is basically I'm a badass. That's B-I-A-B. Would you say badass is one word?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like if you put a space between it, it means something different.
Hashtag BIAB or hashtag BIABA?
I think I'd say BIABA.
I think Biaba sounds like a car you get in a third world country.
Yeah.
Is there new stuff here?
BIABA.
Yeah.
And Badass was his name.
All right. Want to see what you're playing for? It's a 2021 Biaba.
Comes with a bunch of meat in the trunk, courtesy of the Christie brothers.
Okay. All right, we got 4 tiers. We didn't even set this up on the show. Worth playing for. My Life is Fine. Ain't No Hershey Bar. And Forget You. Go Home. Goodbye. That's the worst one.
It's definitely not the worst.
Definitely not the worst. It's interesting. I think this is when we're going to have to start to weigh like what the criteria is. Because I think, does this define the character? Yes. Is this something I've heard? Yes. Is this iconic? I don't know how it measures up.
In terms of his life, it's iconic. That's probably the most iconic thing he's said or done. But in the grand scheme of things, and we're going for iconic, not best. Okay. Well, yeah, I'd say it's either high in Ain't No Hershey Bar or low.
All right, let's leave it at Ain't No Hershey Bar for now, and then we'll come back to it. Does that sound good, Mike?
I think that makes sense. I think we're still trying. It takes us a little bit, right, to ease our way into the water, get used to temperature. I think that's what we're doing right now, trying to figure out like how Drew compares to others right now. I think the best part of that catchphrase, by the way, is the word basically, right? Like if it's just I'm a badass, you don't give a crap about that. But I think throwing that adverb in there really makes it.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you were to really analyze this, basically, I am a badass.
Do you think that the Tribe Has Spoken could have been improved by basically the Tribe Has Spoken?
I think any of these could probably be improved by adding a basically.
Ooh, I like this. Does it pass the basically test?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Keep that in mind. Mike, what's next?
A catchphrase so iconic, it earned its own parent song prior to the Wandoff even becoming a thing. Malcolm Freeberg, take it away.
Hold up.
Short and simple. Hold up, bro. Now here's an interesting thing. Some of these catchphrases are a little Mandela affecting. There are some that have been like repeated and have become memorable catchphrases in the community when that person didn't actually say that particular phrase of words. Because I do believe in the clip, Malcolm is saying "Hold up, Reynolds," and "Hold up, bro" was only coined by the great Lisa, who did the previous like Lego songs, right? Did a song called "Hold Up, Bro" about Malcolm getting the idol from Reynolds.
That's correct.
He didn't say "bro" in that clip you just played.
I'm pretty sure he says. I'll play it again. I'm pretty sure he just says "Hold up, Reynolds."
Hold up. Yeah.
A little mumbled, but I think he says "Hold up, Reynolds."
I think you're right. This is like "Play It Again, Sam," which I don't think they say was never actually said. Casablanca.
Yeah, this is like the Luke, I am your father.
Or Beam Me Up, Scotty.
Talking to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't say "Beam Me Up, Scotty"?
I don't think so.
My mind is just blown.
Mike, did they ever say that?
No, I can't remember how many times Kirk actually calls Montgomery Scott Scotty. I feel like he always called him Mr. Scott.
Yeah, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, that's too formal. Nobody's going to remember this to say that.
Beam me up,
basically, beam me up. That's basically what they should have said.
Beam me up. The ship don't want me around here no more.
James Tiberius Kirk does have a bit of that Drew Christie attitude, right? Like, basically, I'm a badass. I passed the Kobayashi Maru.
But he
had with Orion women.
It up. He was a badass. He didn't get blindsided.
No
blindsides for Captain Kirk. Well, that's fascinating to me because it came back. I think Max repeated it back in Worlds Apart. On our own, I used to do the Survivor Snakes, Rats, and Ghosts podcast with Ryan Elder. We had a segment every week that we called Hold Up Bro. To kind of go back over the moment that you kind of rewound to watch again. So, this is, you've really rocked my world today.
So, we are basically putting something in the mix that was never said on the show.
But it's something that I think helped inspire a catchphrase that has occurred in the community, right? Like, I don't think you would fault Star Wars for being like, well, it's actually not Luke, I am your father. But I think you give it credit in spawning at least some amalgamation of that catchphrase. Everything undergoes metamorphosis and change.
Okay.
Wow.
So...
Definitely these fights are going a lot smoother than last time.
It was big at the moment. Is it still big?
It's a good question, right? Because we are, barely 8 years plus removed from Hold Up Bro. I feel like it's a good representation of Malcolm specifically, right? That Malcolm is sort of like this bro-y character, but he's a big player as well. This is the moment when despite him having an idol in his pocket, he convinced Reynolds to play idol on him. So I think if you're thinking about like Malcolm Freeberg moments that Mike Bloom does not point and laugh at, this is one that definitely comes to mind. I think to your point, Rob, the question is when it stacks up against everyone, not just Malcolm, how is it going to fall?
Damn no good bullshit bastard!
Scott, is this a very iconic catchphrase for you?
It's a semi-iconic catchphrase, yeah. It's not top of mind when I think about Survivor catchphrases, but it'll come to me eventually. But now with this, kind of revelation for me that it wasn't even actually said on the show, now
I think that hurts. I think that hurts it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to put it now.
Okay.
So we're saying Hold Up Bro, though, not Hold Up Reynolds.
Yeah, because I feel like the catchphrase itself, like what it's become, has been Hold Up Bro. This would be like, this didn't make it, but like, F you, Brad Culpepper would be that, not necessarily like the version of Candace flipping him off and Marissa Peterson saying it, Yeah.
So I feel like it's a Hershey bar, but I don't know if it's better than basically I'm a badass.
I agree. I think this is going to be fairly low overall. I can't think of many uses for it. I guess if you're like, hey, hold up, bro. But I haven't heard many people say it in the past 5 years, as opposed to again, maybe it's more recency bias, but basically I'm a badass. I have heard much more being used in random casual conversation among Survivor fans than hold up, bro.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I think the fact that it's
we got problems.
Not actually what he said is, holding it down a little bit, holding up, throw it down. So, I think that's good with where you put it.
All right. So right now, it is in Ain't No Hershey Bar behind Drew Christie. Basically, I'm a badass. Mike, what's next?
All right, Rob, we are going to one of your original seasons.
Oh.
We're going to something that you went on a jury trip with.
One of my many original seasons, Scott.
Exactly. They're all original if you're in it, Rob.
Yes.
You have multiple original seasons if you're an all-star. And speaking of all-stars, that's what we're talking about here. This is a guy that you shared a jury trip with once upon a time. Richard Hatch has only been voted out of Survivor one time, but when he did, this is what he said.
I've been
So Scott, this was one that you wanted to put on the list.
We don't need forgiveness, asshole.
Yes. And I'm not willing to stand by that decision.
Oh.
No, I mean,
Moving
it's good. No, it's good. I do think of it. It's one of the richer quotes that I think of, but I don't know that it's really caught on in any way. I do hear it quoted, but I don't know that it's
going on here,
it's really become a catchphrase. So I'm now thinking, it's good,
Let's just
it's
kill
something
some
I
shit
think
and
about
move
with
on,
Richard,
alright?
so I think that's that's probably the thing I think about most of him from All Stars. But in the grand scheme of Survivor, in the grand scheme of catchphrases, I may have bamboozled you and myself into putting this on the list.
Mike, have you ever been bamboozled?
I mean, multiple times. My life, I'm Mike Van Blue. Still, just so many times in my life where I become flummoxed for one reason or another. Happily, though, I think the question is bamboozled a positive connotation or a negative connotation? Like, do we compare it to like being swindled, or is it more so like, you know, I become shocked at what's happening?
Oh no, I think you're swindled. I wonder, like, if you worked at like a big company and you sort of like left the company open to a ransomware attack, and the hackers have shut down your complete computer system. If you went into your boss's office and said, "We've been bamboozled,"
That was fucking easy.
if it might be like a little bit more of an icebreaker, that it wouldn't be as mad at you if you came in and said it in like a funny way.
Well, especially with that that inflection, it's got a very George Costanza kind of feel.
Yeah.
I could see him using that. We've been bamboozled, Jerry.
What? Bamboozled?
Damn it.
I mean, I think that it's a little bit like not as nefarious. It's like, you know.
It's like I've been
Just use it just to be
swindled, but in a
safe.
fun way.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a nice word. Exactly. Yeah,
It's a fun word, and that's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
go.
like if you get caught when you're building a camp and you steal bamboo to build another shelter, you are bamboozling in a manner of speaking. But there's just a nice little like flow to it that makes it
This
feel
way,
much
move.
more than, hey, I've been like effed over essentially.
Yeah. I think like if there's ever like something where, you know, we get scammed, I think I'm just gonna break the news to Nicole about that. Hey honey, we've been bamboozled.
Do you think it could work in a very solemn tone?
Yeah.
We have been bamboozled.
Bamboozled.
Could it ever just fly
Please,
through in a
hurry.
serious conversation?
Let me
Yes.
posit.
Flagged and noticed.
I don't know is there a word with the letter Z in it that comes across incredibly serious?
Shit.
It's for me.
Analyze.
I guess
Analyze.
so.
Yeah.
Unless you're not from the U.S., then you put an S in there instead of a Z. Because they know how silly of a word it is.
Yeah. That guy's pretty serious.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like that, like sound. I don't know, in the middle of it that makes it come across a bit more jocular. I want to go back to Scott's point. Is this the most iconic Richard Hatch quote?
How can we deal with this?
Think of a more iconic quote from him. I know that the thing where he says he's got the check written.
See, that's the thing is, I think that's like probably the better quote. I think what this one has over it is like we talked about at the beginning. Like it's Regis Philbin is clipping. It's like short. It's 3 words as opposed to Richard's entire quote about how I've already got the million check written for me.
Fuck.
This is like a bigger,
How am I fucking this up this
energetic
time?
moment that you
I can see
They didn't
Regis
fuck it
saying
up last
I've been
time.
bamboozled.
Oh, absolutely.
Joy!
Yeah.
Joy, we've been bamboozled. It's good. It's fun. It's catchy.
Yeah.
But has it caught on as a catchphrase?
It's the name of the episode.
Yeah. Hold up, bro. Was the name of an episode?
Wasn't even said on the show. Yeah. So, all right, let's look at that.
I was on the show.
Bamboozled.
To that point, so I think it might have to slot in above Malcolm. Like, I think now we have a little bit of our first line here, right? Is that putting the ones that weren't actually said on the show sort of almost fill out their own category. And so I think by default, Richard has to be above that.
Okay. All right. So, I've been...
No. Fuck off. How did I fucking do this last time?
I will bamboozle you.
Yeah.
Don't bamboozle me.
We're going out bamboozling tonight.
Okay. All right. So Richard is better than Malcolm. Is it better than basically I'm a badass?
What do you think, Scott?
That's a close one. I mean, it's got a really
What the fuck?
fun word in bamboozle.
Well, this is basically I've been bamboozled.
Basically, I've been bamboozled. That would be worth playing for. but I think it's good they're next to Drew.
hurry!
I think it's tough to decide which of those is better than the other. I think Drew might have the edge. What do you guys think?
I would say better than Drew Christie.
Oh, fuck off.
That it had an episode title.
Fuck. How am I supposed to do that? How did I do this last time?
Moment where that's the entire quote where, Scott, you even said yourself that the Drew Christie clip is part of a longer quote.
That's true.
Yeah, it's tough also to separate out, like, admittedly, Rob, I think you helped make basically I'm a badass into a catchphrase, right?
But if there was a soundboard in 2004...
Oh, I bet my Bamboozle will be all over it. Like this.
Yeah, alright, you convinced me. Move him up. Yeah, move him up.
But I agree that I think he should have taken out of Ain't No Hershey Bar, which is a quote from one of his fellow Mogo tribe members here.
Okay,
I think
never mind.
there's nothing
Well,
here
that's
that
fucked up.
necessarily signifies to me, like, next level to put it in my life is fine.
Okay. Alright. I've been Bamboozled. We will be right back talking more about the greatest Survivor catchphrases of all
Fuck.
time.
I didn't make it as far as I did last time.
Mike, but first let me take a moment and thank our players. To apply it free update at skyco.com.
Exactly. He gave me the idea to pitch Mike and you on a catchphrases list because I was, for some reason,
How am I fucking this up this
comment
much?
in my life is how much I think about Survivor. And I was thinking about the Queen Stays Queen and how the Queen, and I adore Sandra, and she created her own catchphrase.
Yeah.
She willed it into existence. First of all, she had already established the name the Queen. So that goes back. She had laid the groundwork by making herself known as the Queen, and then she added this catchphrase. She repeated it so much that it really permeated to other players and fans. It's catchy, it rhymes in the most basic
What the
way.
fuck? How? How the fuck am I supposed to do that? Again, like, how did I do this last
The Queen
time?
does stay Queen. And
Yeah,
I don't
this
think
is
we
the-
can argue with that.
This is the thing where the implication is basically I'm a badass, right? It's like, you don't need to say it, just say the Queen stays Queen. And look, Sandra was ahead of all of this, like, royal obsession before everything happened, right? Before Netflix even took a look at the British royalty, here Sandra is saying Queen stays Queen, as she has been for some time.
Yes. I'm wondering maybe if you could, just sort of, I'm like thinking
I
again
didn't
about
think
how
of
do
that.
I like come up with what my catchphrase, and I'm wondering is sort of like in this vein of take some of the things we've already done, and I wonder if like you voted for people and said you've been bamboozled.
Ooh.
That's like basically I'm a badass. Queen stays queen.
Okay, that works.
You've been
Again, like,
bamboozled.
I didn't have to do it last time.
TTHS.
Maybe Jeff should say that.
You've been
Bamboozled.
bamboozled. That's it. You know what? Yeah. I think you've been bamboozled. I think is actually
bamboozled.
I think it's more, it's definitely more aggressive, I think, than the tribe has spoken. We heard the tribe has spoken is more so just like, this is official, the tribe has spoken. This is more so like, hey dude, this is on you.
Yeah.
You screwed up. You were bamboozled.
You missed the boat on this one.
Yeah, if they couldn't get the name Survivor for whatever legal reasons, I feel like that Bamboozle would be a good alternate name for the show.
What about like Bamboozled Island?
Yeah.
Well, the band
and there's
Survivor
Bamboo
sued
also,
the show.
yeah.
Yeah. Bamboo
Fuck.
is part of the
I'm
show.
missing the button somehow. I'm just
I think we're onto
fucking
something.
Okay.
Let's get Probst on the line.
Queen stays queen. Has anybody ever said the phrase, the queen stays queen, prior to Sandia's Twilight?
I would imagine not, because I don't know how many queens would have necessitated them affirming their status. You know, this was Sandra, if I recall correctly, I think the first time we heard this was in Game Changers, right? She started saying it in her voting confessionals. The clip that Derek pulled it from was the one where Sandra was talking to Tony while he was being voted out, right? Like, that's what you get for coming to me. The queen stays queen. I will also note we did clip adios out of it, because I think she only says adios sometimes. I think adios is sort of like the optional pickle that you get with your sandwich. The queen stays queen is the main pitch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, another thing is, you know, when Denise got rid of Sandra in Winners at War, a lot of people were saying Queen slays Queen. And that to me just speaks to the power of the original catchphrase, Queen Stays Queen. Nobody asked, where did you get that from, Queen Slays Queen? Everybody knew what it was in reference. So this is a powerful catchphrase.
Very powerful.
So worth playing for, in my
I think what helps is not to besmirch people that came before us, especially someone like Richard Hatch. But I mean, Sandra is on the Mount Rushmore of Survivor, right?
Yes.
So I think the most iconic phrase from one of the most iconic contestants really means something.
Okay. Let's see what it is. We're in our for. Does the queen stays queen? Should it be? Is it? Alright, guys.
I did want to finish
I did like how people noticed that for my thumbnail for my Jeff Probst video that I did put all guys on the cover, which was like on purpose. Joke.
My heart says yes, but I don't know. My head is agreeing. The tribe has spoken, has reached its tentacles so far beyond Survivor. It's really hard to displace it. But if anybody could, it's Queen staying Queen. It's such a good catchphrase, and I don't know if it happened organically, like she just shouted it out, just stuck with it, or if she planned on this. But this is probably one of the most mature catchphrases we're going to see.
That's the thing, is that this is going to be incredibly unique in that this is Jimmy Walker, right? Like, this is the character who is coming back to Survivor and saying something over and over again. I actually remember back at Game Changers, they were like, wait, does she have a catchphrase now? Is she legitimately saying this every time? And we don't expect that. So, like, I think it earns a lot of points. I'm just having trouble putting it above the tribe has spoken. I think
open the door! You can't fight that thing on your own!
Actually, I want to look this up.
I don't think it's more iconic than the show itself. This is like the tail of the snake, not even the head of the
snake.
Shadowlord Castle.
17. I have about 45 minutes based on my last playthrough. I think we'll end here, and then we'll do one more episode and just finish the game tonight.
Knock it off already.
I like the comparison to Dynamite. I like to imagine the studio audience going nuts.
And for
every
Fira.
time
She said
as the Queen
Let him
stays
die for
Queen.
nothing.
She walks in.
As well, all we got left is what the Popo fight and
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone's in the Robin Sandra booth from Island of the Idols. That's the
so yeah,
studio
one's here.
audience, and they're cheering her
Next
on
episode
every time she
continue on.
says it.
Thank you for
I
watching.
don't know if we will have